Welcome to my first Bionicle unboxing and review. I'm currently working on this since my computer is wrecked and can't be repaired. If you do want to help me getting a new computer, I've set up a GoFundMe, which is linked below since I can't afford a new computer otherwise. Any support you do show is greatly appreciated on that. But we are looking at a brand new sealed Bionicle set, 8586-1 Macku. She released for $4 back in 2003. I have no clue how to translate 17 years worth of inflation on that. I apologize. This was part of the Mask of Light wave, which I have very fond memories of, considering that this was when I started getting into the story of Bionicle as a kid. This particular build is my favorite type of Matoran, which, if you're not familiar with the terminology, the Matoran are the small Bionicle villagers. I have one previous Matoran in this type, Takua, who was part of a larger set alongside of a giant crab, which he rode around on. Sadly, I don't have the giant crab constructed any longer. Basically, these were the only Matoran LEGO ever released which had a gear function like the larger Bionicle sets, which would allow them to turn as part of their play function. Sadly, we never did get my favorite of the villagers, the Matoran, which were the green ones in this build type. But the reason for that is that they were intentionally doubling up the colors to make up sports teams that they played. As you can see here, there were two of the blue Matoran, like we've got here. There were two of the white Matoran, two of the brown Matoran, and in the larger sets, two of the red Matoran. Now, we'll get into the details on the sports stuff later, but that's the reason why we missed out on two of the colors entirely. We didn't get the entirely green ones, and we did not get the entirely black Matoran. Now, as for the box itself, the box has some very nice detailing on it, as well as a few interesting hiccups that I want to point out. To start, here on the front, we've just got a nice scene where they're playing Kolhi, the sport in question, and in the back you can make out one of the rival Matoran. Now, there are a couple of mistakes, and the first one is a little bit misleading. Here, you can see there's this green glow that's meant to represent Macku's eyes. But for one, these Matoran don't have colored eyes. The eyes are just molded onto the skull piece that holds their mask on. And for two, the green glow is not even in the right place. If you look here where the glow is, you can barely make out where the eyes are supposed to be down here. So that was just a problem with whoever was doing the visual effects. Additionally, I want to notice how her name is spelled. We're going to get back to that. Now, on the back, we have all of the other Matoran involved in the $4 sets. We also have her name spelled differently back here. It's a misspelling on the back. It might have been an earlier spelling of her name. I remember early on, Bionicle had to change the way some of the names were spelled due to some conflict with the Maori people that the tribal culture was being based on early on in Bionicle. But I'm not sure if that was her earlier spelling or not. Additionally, we have down here some alternate builds, which are just kind of creepy, if you're going to be really honest. I don't really like the alternate builds all that much. They look weird. Now, the sides of the box, over here we've got the play function being shown off. Not really anything exciting on the other side or on the bottom, but there is some stuff on the top that I want to point out here. Now, just ignoring the fact that it's assuring that instructions are included, I want to point out that there's some Matoran lettering right here, which I'm not sure if you'll be able to make out. It's pretty dark on the dark box, but if I get a good angle on it, you might be able to see it. Now, the Matoran lettering actually does not say Macku like you might expect. It actually says Hafu, which is this one. I don't know if this was intentional or not, but Hafu is also the one who's back here, so it could be a mistake or it could be some sort of Easter egg. To be honest, I do not know for sure at the moment. Either way, though, let's open her up. It has been a long, long time since I have opened a Bionicle. So, box aside, here we've got the instructions showcasing some of the stuff from that year. And on the back, the very straightforward instructions for how to build these Matoran. So there we have Macku completed with a few extra Technic pieces like the sets tended to do. Also a little bit of dust or residue or something from the inside of the box. I guess that's what happens when you open a 17-year-old toy. One of each of the types of pins and one of the little covering that goes on the back of the bar that lets Macku turn, like I was showing with Takua before. Now that sport I was talking about, Kolhi, was basically a combination of hockey and sort of a soccer-ish game, played not by two teams, but by three teams of two, all trying to score. And the play feature actually goes along with this. Now, I never tried playing Kolhi as a kid. Again, I only had one of them back then. But essentially, you could take the puck, and you could set it down, and you could attempt to flick it around like that, like a past the goalie. Now, I don't know if anyone actually played any in-depth games with it. I suppose it sort of would take a good degree of planning a good flat surface. But in theory, you would be able to play the game not easily. It doesn't slide very well on some surfaces. But it is something that you might be able to make work. I do think there is one particularly missed opportunity with this type of the Matoran, and that is with the eyes themselves. I think it's a little bit ugly the way they have this piece just sort of sticking out on the sides. I know that's a piece they used with the original McDonald's released Matoran back when the theme started. And I also think it's ugly not having any colored eyes in there, primarily because there is a very simple fix for this. Let me see where I've left that. Right here. See, there are pieces that will work to give them colored eyes. This was the standard skull piece that was used for the main Toa, with the colored eye stalk and just a regular bar, which the set already has one of right in here, holding the gear in place. And due to the size of it, it would be a very simple matter, instead of doing these pieces, you could very easily have one of these in place. And then not only do you lose the big part of the skull that juts out on the sides, you also have some color in there. I don't know if the video is picking it up very well, but the fact that she actually has eyes to match like in the movie means that you could have had a slightly better experience. In fact, I even think it looks just fine with the open gap here. You even get a little bit of that color coming through there. Visually, it's a very nice thing to have. Now, most likely I would say this was just a cost-saving measure. Even back then, $4 was not going to be a very in-depth, expensive product for obvious reasons. It might be that they just couldn't afford the more expensive pieces in there. They might have just been cutting too much into the profit margin, which doesn't excuse the larger sets like Takua, who still could have had it because you're already paying a lot more. They could definitely afford the slightly better but still common pieces for that. So I think that's the one big missed opportunity that these Matoran had. They really should have had the better eyes and the better skulls. But that being said, I really love this build. I really love this type of build. I think the Matoran were best off in this form. Not to say the other ones weren't good, but this one is just the cream of the crop, if you ask me. So that being said, that is Macku. If you have any comments, if you have any fond memories, I ask please leave them down below. I'd love to see what other people think about these. I think these still hold up really well, even after 17 years. It's a very fun, very functional small item. I'm really happy with the quality of the pieces themselves. They looked great. Whoever originally had this one on the shelf for that long before before I ordered it online, they did a great job taking care of everything. So I definitely want to thank you guys for your support and thank you for watching. Please keep an eye out here. I'm going to do more of this stuff in the near future while I'm out a computer. Like I said, if you would be kind enough to support going to that GoFundMe, even just a few dollars at a time is better than nothing. Regardless, though, please check out my other videos, and I greatly appreciate all of your support in this strange time.